Welcome back to another Sienna Racing video. In this video, we are at Colorado College and we're going to be starting off here with a quick little sand and paint of the Swaybar before we install it. So I got this at a local junkyard for 35 bucks. It's the green dot Tiburon GT bar. So this is the 19.2 millimeter rear sway bar, so it's a good one. You can use like the 18 millimeter one off the regular Tiburon, but this one's just a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier. So I'm just gonna start here by sanding it down with some 400 grit, and then we're gonna move to the 600, and then I'm gonna be painting and clearing this so it just looks a little better, and then the next clip will be it painted, and then we're gonna get to the actual installation process. For this painting project, if you want to paint your sway bar, it's pretty cheap and pretty easy. This sandpaper was about $4. Any color you want, it's gonna be about $5 for the base coat, and then you wanna use like an automotive grade clear coat, and this is about $8. So in total you're looking at about $17, $18 to paint the bar and have it look good and be protected for a long time. But it's totally optional, it doesn't have to be painted. So as you can see, I just hung up the sway bar after I sanded it with 400 and 600, just using a metal coat hanger just on this tree, and this will work great to spray it. So I'm just going to be hitting it with some red and then some clear coat, no primer on this. Don't want to build it up too much. Just hit it with the first coat really light, just getting a little bit of a base coat on, and then the second coat will be the first thick coat, but this is just the first coat of light. So waited about 5 minutes for the first little light coat to dry, and now this is the first actual coat. So I'm just gonna wait about 5-10 minutes until this is dry. It's a really nice day out today. It's about 72, so it's perfect for painting. So this should dry pretty quickly and be ready for the second coat, and then we'll be ready to clear. So this is the third coat of clear on there. Looks pretty good for how much it cost and how much work this took. Next clip will be installing this at the Fort Carson Auto Center, and we'll go through all the necessary parts that you're gonna need when we're actually installing this thing. All right, so we're at Fort Carson. We got our suspension bushings, Tiburon brackets, and the sway bar. And we got the car up on the lift here. So the first step is gonna be removing the old end links, and then we're gonna get to the bracket with the sway bar. So as you can see how small the stock one is. So it's 2 bolts right there and 2 bolts holding the bracket on both sides. So it shouldn't be that hard, very easy. All right, so this is gonna be a 14 millimeter to disconnect this end link on the sway bar. And since we're gonna be replacing the end links and the sway bar, you don't have to take the bottom one off. But for the top one, I use some vice grips to hold the stud right here so then it wouldn't spin. And then I just used a open-ended wrench and a dead blow to kind of impact the nut off. And then from there it should be pretty easy. For the sway bar bushings, or the bracket that's holding it in, it's gonna be a 12 millimeter, and these come off pretty easily, just like normal. And you're gonna wanna do this to both sides, and then the sway bar will be able to come out, and then we can start installing the new Tiburon big sway bar and the necessary pieces for it. So once it's dropped down, all we're gonna have to do is drop it like this and then kind of fish it over the exhaust, and voila, there's our stock Swaybar. And we'll be going over here to install the new one with the new bushings, and these are the Tiburon brackets that you'll also need. As you can see, the Elantra ones are a different style. They're flat versus the Tiburon ones have like these ridges. And basically we'll be installing the bushings on with the grease that they give you so they don't squeak, and should be a pretty easy bolt up installation. So once we get the bushings on the Swaybar, we're going to be installing the links off the car to make it easier for ourselves. So we'll be installing just one side of each link, and I'm using these Moog ones, which are supposed to be pretty high quality. You can see Moog. They're greaseable versus the stock ones, which are plastic. So these should be a lot stiffer and last a lot longer, especially with like the grease fittings on each side. So I'm going to do that now, and then the next step will be installing the Swaybar. Alright, so got it all bolted up. It is touching the fuel filler neck, so I'm not sure if that's normal or not, but it is, so whatever. But overall it looks pretty good. So next will be the performance test of the rear sway. That's what it looks like. So here we are back at the shop. So the first time I installed it, this sway bar is actually backwards. So as you can see, it's literally touching right there on the frame. And then on that bolt right there, you can see it's touching. And then on the filler tube. So we're gonna switch it around and hopefully it's not touching. All right, so I just got the sway bar flipped around here. As you can see, that's where it was hitting on the frame. So definitely a good thing we flipped this around. So when you do it, you can just make sure that the small bend is on this side and that the longer side, like see how it's not so sharp, it's more flat, is on the right side of the car. And then it will clear everything perfectly fine. And that's the right way to do it. So now the next step is just bolting up the end links and we're done. Okay, so just installed the sway bar and drove back and it feels great. So now we're gonna do a small little review on what it actually does. So we'll go on a short little drive here, and it's gonna be hard to convey exactly what it does on video, but I can tell you in person, it feels like the back end is much more like planted and it doesn't roll as much, which is exactly what this upgrade is supposed to do. So yesterday I installed it the wrong way, and that was the reason why it was clunking so badly. But I figured out I just installed it the wrong way around, so it should be good to go now. It's the first sharp corner. So like the car would not do that before, like at all. Here's another one. Like you can actually get the front end to like kind of squeal now. But like overall, it's hard to convey on video, but it's a huge difference. Like, the car feels so much more like planted. Like this would, like, had I known how good this would have been one of my first upgrades. What the? So now we're in front facing view. Not sure, like, again, like how much this can really help, but you can just see the difference in speed. Like, you can probably go through corners at least 20 miles per hour faster with this Swaybar, and the car just like stays flat. Like before that corner, that was like 55. You would have to be probably going like 35. And like this corner up here, this is like a corner that you could probably only take it like 10, like the sign says. But now you can probably take it like closer to 25. Like, you can actually get like oversteer now. It's pretty awesome. Oh my god, that's so ridiculous. I don't know if you could hear that, but like it completely oversteered right there. That was so funny. So as a quick end to this video, if you have an XD Elantra, like XD, XD2, like hatch, sedan, doesn't matter, GT, GLS, like they all could benefit from this, because the stock one is right here. It's tiny. It's super small, and the body rolls a lot. Even if you have a GT, it's only like 1 millimeter larger, versus this one's like a stock is 13, this one's like a 19.2, so it's a pretty big difference. But I would, like, if I had to pick and choose like which upgrades I got to do, this would be one of my first ones, like, for sure. It just makes the car like behave like it's supposed to. Like, it's probably like the best thing you can do, for especially considering the price. Like, I got this Swaybar for $35, and the bushings were like 20, and then to use like the shop space, it's like 8 an hour. And as long as you don't mess up like I did, and put the Swaybar on the wrong way, you'll be fine. Oh, look, an EK hatch. It goes on super easy as long as you put it on the right way. Like, if you're like fighting it, it's probably going on the wrong way, and if it's like touching the fuel filler neck or the frame, like, that should be pretty obvious that it's on wrong. But like, I just did it anyway, and it was like, it clunked really bad, but like you could still feel like the stiffness in the Swaybar, but it's much better now that it's actually on correctly. But like, overall, like, super easy install. Just like make sure that you get like all the right pieces you need. So Tiburon Swaybar, Tiburon bushings, Tiburon brackets, and the Tiburon metal endlinks, and you're good to go. And that's going to be the end of this video. So see you next time. See you racers. Peace out.